Well, good evening, everyone, and welcome to Loud Agile Network for our April presentation. We have with us Shane Hastie, who's joining us all the way from New Zealand. Shane is very well known in the Agile circles and now in the education circles. He brings more than 40 years of experience as a practitioner and leader across development, testing, training, project management, business analysis. I know Shane when he was leading the global practice for IC Agile, and I worked extensively with him and met him in a lot of Agile conferences as well. And he really is a leader of our community. And it's excellent to have him join us at Loud Agile Network. Today, he's going to talk to us about how is AI transforming the way Agile teams work today. And what we hope to learn from him today is how to integrate AI into our daily Agile workflows, aligning AI adoption with Agile principles and values. That's very important. How AI can enhance efficiency, effectiveness, and speed, and then also partnering with AI to drive collaboration and Agile success. So our presentation today is New Ways of Working Enhanced by AI, presented by none other than the great Shane Hastie. With that, Shane, over to you.
Thank you, Toby. No mai haere mai, koro tātou. Welcome, folks. That was a somewhat mangled Maori greeting. But yeah, accelerated delivery using AI. And there's what Perplexity says about me. I'm not going to read it off. Toby gave me more than enough. But yes, let's dig straight in. Mentimeter, let's just get a feel. What is your experience? So if you join the poll, you can either use the QR code here, or if you go to menti.com and use the code 21980090, and we will see those results. What is your experience with generative AI tools at this stage? I see a few folks are saying they use them every day. If you are one of those folks and you'd like to, come off mute and tell us, what are you using them for? How are you using these tools?
I've been experimenting with Google One Premium AI with their notebook LM to use very large context to generate all kinds of interesting summaries. That's been fun and interesting. As a product manager, I've been using it to try and conjure some products, have it developed a software where I would have had a backlog of work for a team to see what happens. Sort of like a virtual team, just to see if I can get something useful. I'm not an engineer by background, so I'm always challenged with having to wait for developers. I want to prototype quickly.
And how are you finding it's achieving that?
Okay. The problem is once it generates some kind of application, I can't modify it because I'm not an engineer. So, but it's been fine for drafting UI and wireframes. That's been very interesting and very easy to do. Where in the old days, I would have hired a designer and paid them several days worth of work to get that. It just, as I say, I like to use the word conjure. It just appears almost magically for me, which is very interesting. So I've done that. Sometimes I use it just to clean up, like if I want to create a chart, a table of data, and don't feel like doing the manual heavy lifting in Excel or whatever, Google Sheets, it can do that for me. So it's kind of nice. It's like having a little assistant on the side, and sometimes a part-time, okay, junior engineer of sorts.
Yeah, I've heard it often described as it's like having a really clever intern available to you. And the problem is sometimes that intern comes to work drunk and we don't know, and figuring out when they're drunk and when they're not is the key there. Cool.
Anyway, so Harry, thanks for letting me talk. I'll let someone else talk now.
Cool. So I'll leave that poll up for a little while, but we've got a wide range of experience, and 11 out of the 30 people have responded. If you do want to respond, you can carry on doing so. Oh, excuse me, folks, I'm fighting off a cold. So in today's world, lots of studies, lots of evidence, but we're in a world of exponential change. And there's these three characteristics. It is perpetual, it's occurring all the time, it's pervasive, it's happening in all areas, and it's exponential. The rate of change is constantly accelerating. And AI it's a contributor to, and it's also a result of this exponential, pervasive change. And it's all around us. And a lot of this, it has been around us for the last 10 to 15 years. It's not fundamentally new. The banks have been using it in fraud detection and risk management. Amazon, people who bought this also bought that, or you might like. What has been different in the last few years has been the generative AI, the GPT tools. Generative pre-trained transformers was what GPT stands for. So generative, it's predictive and adding new stuff. And the way it works is incredibly complex, but really simple. It's a prediction engine trained on vast quantities of data. And it's really just predicting what is the next word in a sequence, or the next, not even word. It turns everything, of course, into numerical data, and then returns it back into text or image or so forth. So often in the background, it's been present. More and more, it's becoming visible, and certainly with the generative AI tools, it's really in our lives now, or potentially very much in our lives. And there's a lot of evidence with the GPT tools of significant cost benefit for organizations. Goldman Sachs, 42% of lawyer and loan officers' time saving, directly attributable to a $30 to $50 million per annum bottom line improvement. UPS, route optimization, saving $400 million per annum. Uber talks about 13,000 engineer hours. So these are all published stats that are validated. They're not hallucinations. And of course, the pressure for adopting it it's present now, and it's getting more and more pressure as we look at the responding to this very adaptive, pervasive change. an interesting one is employee expectations. If I can use this in my home life, why can't I use it at work, for instance? There are a whole lot of myths and misconceptions. The first one at the top is, yeah, AI is going to replace us all. There are studies. The World Bank and World Economic Forum, 79 million jobs are probably going to be significantly disrupted, ranging from disappearing entirely to most of the tasks being automated by 2030. And at the same time, 83 million jobs, new jobs coming about. So it is going to be disruptive. It is going to be a technology that we really have to dig into and use. All of the conversations about creativity, does it guarantee increased efficiency? Well, automation has never guaranteed increased efficiency. But what it does do is it helps us make mistakes quicker. If we automate a bad process, then bad things just happen quicker. So like any product implementation, we have to really think about where and how we're going to maximize the benefit of this. And we need to come to a mindset of how do we leverage these tools in the most effective way. It's not a matter of just adopt the tool and everything will happen. And we've known this with all of the tools of technology over the years. We've had to really think carefully about how we apply these tools in the most effective way. A powerful accelerant, but only when harnessed mindfully in alignment with values that matter. Where do we bring in the purpose-driven approach, the ethical, human-centered approach? And then we get that magic sweet spot in the middle. We do have to be very, very careful, though, that hallucination and malicious misuse is genuine and real. We're seeing cybersecurity attacks improved by the use of AI today, for instance. This is a worrying trend in the cybersecurity space, and the need to adapt and respond continuously. And I'm sure you're all aware of many instances of hallucinations, of fake news, and the deep fake technology that is available now just makes this more prevalent and something to be very conscious of. And we have to bring in the human, genuine human thinking of the care. Because these models do not have ethics. There will be some constraints that have been placed on the model. So for instance, if you ask ChatGPT, how do I rob a bank? Well, part of the pre-trained in the P of GPT is the model knows how to rob a bank, but it's not going to tell you. The bias and discrimination built into those systems. There's been a lot of publicity about things like the Apple credit card that used an algorithm that came from one of the big banks, and when they offered cards to people, women were inevitably offered a higher interest rate and a lower credit limit than men. And the model was so ingrained with that Apple actually eventually pulled the card. They could not fix the model without a complete rebuild. Privacy, surveillance, accountability and transparency. There was an article published just a week or so ago looking at how the Anthropic folks were looking at inside the Claude LLM at how it comes to its conclusions. Oh, excuse me. And really interestingly, the way it was explaining what it was doing versus the way it was actually doing it inside was completely different. So it was lying. When asked, explain your reasoning, the model was fabricating, was making up lies. So we can't even trust it to the point of, tell me how you've got there. We've got to think about how we make those black boxes more visible. And observability is an area of research and work at the moment. So real harm has been happening, and it's something we really have got to, when we look at, if we're looking at adopting these models for ourselves in our own organizations, we really want to think about how do we ensure that the models that they're trained on have good data without bias. So diverse representative data, rigorous testing, human oversight, the human in the loop, transparency, and collaborative and inclusive development. Now, this doesn't just apply to AI models, and we know this. In product management, we have suffered with these inherent biases for most of the last 30, 40 years. The AI tools make this more visible more quickly. Governance is an important part. What do we bring in the governance? The ethical frameworks, how do we ensure that our data that we're working from doesn't have inherent bias? That transparency, the human in the loop. And the AI risks out there. So thinking about that, and then with your own experience and knowledge, I've got a second poll question, which I'll just move to the next. I'd love to hear from folks. So again, if you've got Mentimeter open, it should have moved you to the second question. What do you see as the biggest risks? By the way, folks, please come on camera. It's really uncomfortable looking at boxes with names. Harry, I appreciate
Going back to the QR code for a moment.
Yep.
Thank you.
Hey, Ali. Hi. Hey, Oman. Nice to see you.
Sorry, I was staying off camera because it's midnight here.
Whoa. We see blind acceptance so far. AI slop, I love that too. solid results, exaggeration of biases, morality, ethics, losing our intelligence. And again, I'll leave that one up for a little while and I'll move on to my next topic. And we're getting close to the piece that I think most of you really want to see. So this here is it's the soft-ed equivalent of the Scrum lifecycle, because we look at it as a complete product lifecycle from portfolio through discovery, through delivery, through operate with rapid feedback and so forth. And the metaphor is that all of these circles are constantly spinning. So for any product, you're not going through just a single discover cycle, for instance. You could discover, build a little bit, learn, improve, adapt, respond, release it, and then come back and discover, hey, we need to pivot. And you can weave into this model at pretty much any point the AI tooling, and particularly around the generative AI, the trick becomes the prompts. But we can see the tools as team members, and they can complement us. I mentioned earlier the intern who sometimes comes to work lunch. But we've got the domain intern, not the subject matter expert, but they can pull a lot of information together. Admin support, knowledge management, code generation, data analytics, documentation, UI, UX. Harry was talking about his experience there. Testing in QA, prototype development, and the code generation from that. But the trick, the key is your skill at prompt engineering. And I'm not going to go through this slide. I'm going to make this deck available to everyone, by the way, so you don't need to take screenshots or whatever. I will happily share it with you. But let's talk about prompts. And as a person working on a agile project, a common thing I want to do is give me user stories. So an average prompt example there, give me user stories for an app to book travel for frequent flyers for an airline. Okay, it'll come up with some user stories. Are they going to be particularly useful? Probably not. There's a whole lot of stuff that's not there. And your skill at prompting is what is going to drive the results that you get from using the tools. So here's that same prompt expanded. Imagine you're a frequent leisure traveler who is loyal to a specific airline and wants preferred access to exotic destination and bundled flights and accommodation offerings, including the number of days away, the offered hotels, and additional activities which can be customized based on this user profile. Generate a set of user stories for a feature in the booking app that presents new destinations, offers discounts based on frequent flyer status level. The story should include acceptance criteria that ensure the app can handle these customizations smoothly. So the clarity in there, the context, the core requirements, the outcome we're looking for, including some of the business rules. So coming back to what makes an effective prompt, a lot more of that in there. And we're not just restricted to text, and we're going to move on from here in a moment and see examples. So this is a flowchart generated first out of ChatGPT and pasted there and asked for the script in Mermaid chart format, pasted into Mermaid, and then copied out. And that's a common thing we can do. Generate the HTML, copy the HTML in. If you've got various tools and passing things from one tool to another can be really useful. And yeah, the ChatGPT's newest image generation model is blowing people away. The the newest version, newest release of DALL-E is absolutely phenomenal in terms of image generation, and all of the tools are the specific image generation tools are getting better and better and better. But let's see what that looks like. So I am going to go to my friend Claude. Now, there are multiple different generative AI tools. Amy, you're absolutely right. And this is one of the really strong ethical challenges that we need to think about, is how do we address the content production and fair compensation, for instance, for not just artists, but artists are somewhat the most visible, but authors. I'm an author of 2 books. I know that my ideas and content are in the training models. But I don't want to get deep into that conversation at this point. What I want to do is show you what some good prompting can look like and some of the things we can get out of it. So I'm going to start. I've opened up a new conversation in Claude. Skills Group, my employer, we have a professional license for Claude. So this is a paid for license that we have. And here is the beginning of my thread. So I'm putting in a context. You're a highly experienced Agile coach, familiar with a wide variety of Agile development approaches. You draw on the values and principles of the Manifesto for Agile Development and other manifestos which are inspired by the Agile Manifesto. You understand the details and nuances of product management, lean startup, project to product thinking, Scrum, Kanban, lean software development, adaptive software development, scaled Agile framework, extreme programming, and other commonly used Agile approaches. When you provide answers, you include an explanation of why you're using a specific approach and how your answers support the Agile mindset. So this could be created as, if you use the project type context for these tools, you could put this, and that prompt will be there through all of the conversations in the thread. So I'm putting it in here just at the beginning of this thread. So I'm ready to help. And here I'm bringing in, so I will say I prepared this in advance in the kitchen, so to speak. I've written a few prompts, and this is quite a big one. This is my starting point for the business problem we're going to take. So imagine we are a financial institution, we're a banking company, we're a newly formed Agile team working in a large financial institution, tasked with improving small business loans. Currently, small business loans processing takes 10 to 15 days due to a largely manual process with numerous handoffs between loan officers of the branch, risk managers and head office, compliance, audit, etc. Small business owners often don't provide all the paperwork we need to assess their loan eligibility, resulting in delays while they gather the information we need to process the loan applications. The technology stack is outdated and characterized by complex integrations and multiple origination pathways. As a result, lending processes are slow, volume sensitive, and prone to operational risks. The complexity of the existing infrastructure also contributes to inconsistencies in decision-making across different origination pathways, increasing operational inefficiencies and reducing scalability. We want to build an online platform which will improve the customer experience. reduce loan approval rejection time, and increase profitability of the small business loan segment of our business. The scope of this initiative encompasses development of the future state software for business lending, spanning from loan application to credit decisioning. There are a number of internal and external dependencies, cybersecurity, and cloud infrastructure to ensure the successful execution of the initiative. The measurable benefits we need to achieve are: reduce the average loan decisioning time from 10 to 15 days to 3, achieve target of 70% of business lending being auto decisioning, increase the loan approval rates, scalable infrastructure. And my question to this Agile coach is, what do we need to do to get this initiative underway? And Umar, yeah, I have a bias because I teach and have a deep experience in business analysis, but yes, I think good BAs have the potential to write better prompts. So what's it telling us? Establish a cross-functional team, product owner, ideally with somebody deep understanding of the loans business analysts, UI UX designers, developers, QA specialists, DevOps engineers, cybersecurity specialists at least part-time, and then representatives from key departments, loan officers, risk managers, compliance. And here's the why: individuals and interactions, and customer collaboration. Having all necessary perspective reduces handoffs. So I can present that, conduct a value stream mapping exercise, establish clear success metrics and feedback loops, create an initial roadmap, set up your Agile framework, so Scrum for delivery team, Kanban board to visualize, and again, the why. Address the technical foundation early, to enable acceleration. Develop a customer-centric approach, conduct user research, prototype, risk and compliance integration. So it's given me a pretty good starting point that I need to, and I can sit down as a product manager and within the organization and say, do we have all of this? And what do we need to get there? So it's giving me some clear guidance. But, you know, our organization is Agile and we use lean canvas. Build me a lean canvas to motivate this initiative to the bank executive. Include BRICE scoring so this initiative can be compared to others in the portfolio. The BRICE is a prioritization method. How long did it take last time you wrote a lean canvas? Anyone? Harry, I see you laughing. How long did it take you to build your last lean canvas?
Long time. Longer than this. Several kicks at it, and maybe several, yeah.
Yeah. Now, would I take this and copy paste it just like that? Probably not. I'd go through it, apply the critical thinking, and say, you know, is what the tool is representing here sensible? Does it make sense? What's the problem? Who are the customer segments? Unique value proposition, 3 days or less. What is our solution? What are our channels? Online, mobile, application, portfolio, branch, tablet for loan officers, API integration with accounting and business banking platforms, automated notification. There's our revenue streams. Cost structure. Okay, it's made up some numbers here. I would really have to look carefully at that. But as a starting point, yeah, maybe. The key metrics, what's our unfair advantage? And looking at the BRICE score, the benefits, Scale 1 to 5, well, we think we're getting really good benefits. Risks are not too bad. Investment is quite high. Change management and effort. It's a complex technical implementation. So it's scoring as 19 out of 25. And I can compare that with other products using the 𝘫𝑐e score, and at the portfolio level, we can say, where will this help us to invest? And we even have the executive summary. That's cool, but I'm Agile. What do we want in an Agile team? What would you do next? We think about typical Agile life cycle. What would we be doing? We've got the lean canvas. Maybe we want to know, who are our stakeholders? Give me a list of key stakeholders and an impact matrix with important factors we need to consider for each stakeholder group. Small business customers, branch loan officers, risk management, IT department, executive leaders, marketing, customer service, branch managers, compliance, keep them satisfied, finance, cybersecurity, legal, and then low interest, low impact, other business units, vendors, industry regulators, competitors, and how should we engage with them? But then, hey, I want to see what this thing could look like. Design the prototype for the loan application app so we can show it to customers. Let's just straight into a prototype, shall we?